The Dalai Lama has stated that he would be the last person to hold this position. After his death, there would not be another because the Dalai Lama would not be born in Tibet until Tibet is free from Chinese rule. China disagrees and is calling on the Dalai Lama to respect the custom of reincarnation and agree to be born again in China, except that reincarnation is the will of that particular soul. Basically, China is trying to tell the Dalai Lama that he cannot choose to reincarnate by himself and that he must agree that he will reincarnate in China. This is laughable, as China does not fully understand the concept of reincarnation, that a higher soul can choose to reincarnate at his own will. This is Tibet, a land which is not part of India or China. It is home to those who follow Tibetan Buddhism, which is not just a dharmic religion, but a way of life for the Tibetan people. Unlike in India, for the people of Tibet, Buddhism is a central part of life. All government officials are monks, and the entire nation is run by monks traditionally. That is, until the Chinese annexed Tibet. China, who currently controls the area, only recognizes this map as being Tibet instead of this entire area, which is the real Tibet. And the Chinese recognize Tibet, the tinier Tibet, is called the TAR, or the Tibet Autonomous Region, and is limited to just that. China has installed a puppet as a representative and politician of TAR, who is ethnically Tibetan, but the real power lies with a Chinese ethnically branched secretary of the Communist Party, a true Han-blooded Chinese. Tibetans argue that the so-called Tibetan Autonomous Region is not autonomous at all, and they have compelling reasons to argue as to why. Chinese aggression, sheer disrespect for the Tibetan way of life, culture, and beliefs of Tibet, although peaceful, has led to bullying, violence, and an irresistible set of actions in which Tibetans would never accept nor forgive the Chinese. Tibet always had self-rule under the authority of the previous Dalai Lama, all the way towards the beginning of the 20th century, all of the Dalai Lamas in the past. But in December 1950, China took over by installing the 14th Dalai Lama as the new leader of Tibet and getting him to sign the 17-point agreement. He was a teenager at the time, and the agreement was supposed to guarantee Tibet regional autonomy and respect Buddhism in the region. In exchange, China would set up civilian and military headquarters inside of Tibet. The Dalai Lama has since refuted this deal. He was also involved in the 1959 Tibetan uprising that ended with 80,000 Tibetans, including himself, fleeing the country to India. Today, the exiled government of Tibet is headquartered in Dharamshala and continue to campaign for the Tibetan freedom. They fear that China is still undermining Tibetan culture and way of life by encouraging mass Han Chinese migration to Tibet, building industry, and systematically pillaging Tibet's resources, also protesting human rights violations and the widespread persecution of Tibetan people. China has a history of undermining the Buddhist religion, as it sees Tibet's main culture as a problem for India's interests. The Dalai Lama is both a political figure and a holy figure in Buddhism. He is the reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama through sacred reincarnation identifying ceremony, which includes identifying positions of the previous Dalai Lama. Buddhism also has the Panchen Lama, which is the second most important in Tibet's spiritual hierarchy. He also plays a role in finding the next Dalai Lama. In 1999, the Dalai Lama identified a boy as the new Panchen Lama, but the Chinese government detains the boy, and he hasn't been seen since then. This is typical of China, as they don't want to take any more chances of a new hope for an independent Tibet. China also installed their own choice for the Panchen Lama, but he is not accepted by most Tibetans. These are all the reasons why the Dalai Lama has stated ahead of time that he will not be reincarnated in China. This takes away the power of China creating false narratives that the new Dalai Lama would be in China, falsely designating the next incarnation. When the Dalai Lama passes on, there is a major concern that China will try to install one of their own people in his place, which would be detrimental to the fight for Tibetan freedom. But due to the reincarnation identification ceremony, this should not be a major concern, since according to the science of reincarnation, the Dalai Lama would want to be found and will take birth probably in a Tibetan family in India, or would hold off until Tibet was free from Chinese rule. On the 19th of May 2020, Representative Scott Perry introduced the bill to authorize the precedents to recognize the Tibetan Autonomous Region of the People's Republic of China as a separate, independent country and for other purposes. This bill must pass the stages of the legislation in the United States before being passed into law. The United States has unofficially declared war with China. During the Ladakh face-off between India and China in the past few months, the US said that they were already ready to mediate and tie the situation with China. And China knew that the US had India's back. It had to cut all the ties with WHO, which is pocketed by China. And meanwhile, the UK, Australia, and Japan are demanding an investigation to the origins of the coronavirus, which is infuriating China. The entire world is allied with anyone that is opposing Chinese aggression and irresponsible behavior concerning a range of topics. The US wanted to break the USSR into different countries, and this was the same tactic that was used. It all started with the recognition for the need for independence of people whose regions with a different ethno-religious population, such as in many Muslim-dominant countries. Tibet is a stronger case, and as it was annexed by China, and such was not the case in the USSR. India is already hosting the Tibetan government in exile with over 200,000 Tibetan people. Tibet will also remove Chinese monopoly over Tibetan glacial water, which has affected a significant part of the world. China has turned the world into its enemy and has angered countries which play a key role in the country's economy and the world's economy, especially geopolitical affairs. It could have respected the sovereignty of Tibet, respected its culture and its people while increasing friendship with the Tibetan people. It could have played a leadership role in the rest of the world, such as respecting other nations and sharing international waters in the South China Sea and cooperating with other nations on regional security instead of propagating Islamic terrorism in Pakistan-occupied Indian, Buddhist, and Hindu lands in order to open an economic corridor without permission from India. China has also stolen the Aksai Chin area from India during 1962. This was not the behavior of leaders, but thieves and selfish tyrants. Even today, that area belongs to India and is still under Chinese occupation by force. China will definitely face the consequences of its actions in the days to come, and the coronavirus situation has started the domino effect into what is a massive second Cold War in which China's allies are few to none while the world has united against China. The world watches as moves are being made towards the independence of Tibet. Till now, the world has accepted China as the world's sole factory, but with China's aggression in almost all of its geopolitical moves, the world will not look past China's sins. Not now. Not just in the last 10-15 years, but with the start of the forced occupation and annexation of Tibet. Tibetan Buddhist and Vedic Jyotisha astrologers have predicted the likelihood of Tibet's independence, and they all coincide with the fall of the Chinese influence and power. Are those days here? Will we have to keep close watch and stand for justice for the innocent? Yes, we will. But China either needs to change dramatically, or with the way things are going, Tibet's independence is not too far away. At the same time, China's internal political struggle between the factions that rule the Chinese Communist Party have started to surface, with three main factions. And the Ladakh war with India, or as of right now, a skirmish with India, is to brush off this internal fear of rebellion and faction. Remember, China does not trust its own people. There is no Twitter or Gmail, or there is no free social media. It's all state-run social media. So China is always afraid what its own population will think about it. And it's afraid of any opinions, it's afraid of rebellion, and it's afraid of dissatisfaction amongst its own people. And people have gotten to know that China is falling and the government is scared. We will have to see what happens in the coming few weeks and months. But as of right now, China is not in a good position with the whole world united against it. We will have to continue to be patient and see what happens. For more videos, please subscribe to get the latest updates and hit like if you like this video. Jai Bharat.